This is the Dollemore Daily, and I'm Jesse Dollemore. It's getting tougher and tougher for Republicans to deny the calling of witnesses in the impeachment trial of Donald Trump in the United States Senate. The impeachment inquiry hearings may be over in the House Intelligence and Judiciary Committees, but the damning evidence just keeps rolling in for House impeachment investigators. Evidence that plainly reveals the deep and direct connections between Lev Parnas, Rudy Giuliani, and Donald Trump. Remember that this is the same connection that, of course, Donald Trump has denied, standing there like a child with chocolate on his face while claiming he didn't eat the cake. Tuesday night, the House Intelligence Committee released a whole bunch of previously unseen evidence in the form of documents from Lev Parnas. Lev Parnas, you'll remember, was Rudy Giuliani's fixer in Ukraine, who is now under federal indictment and an ongoing investigation related to illegally funding Russian-connected money into the Trump campaign during 2016. These documents reveal not only the now well-known plot to help Donald Trump through foreign interference in our upcoming presidential election, but also a sinister plot of the apparent intimidation and possible physical threats against the then United States ambassador to Ukraine, Marie Yovanovitch. This new evidence makes it more obvious than ever that it's impossible for the Senate to conduct a witness-free impeachment trial with any credibility at all. I mean, a Mitch McConnell-led Senate trial is already wildly suspect, but a trial with this new evidence omitted would simply be a sick joke. The chairs of the four committees released a joint statement related to this explosive new evidence that read, quote, "Since the House voted to impeach President Trump, we have continued our investigation so the House managers can present to the Senate the most complete factual record possible before the trial on the articles of impeachment. Despite the president's unprecedented and sweeping obstruction of our impeachment inquiry, we have continued to collect additional evidence relevant to the president's scheme to abuse his power by pressing Ukraine to interfere in the 2020 election for the president's benefit. During the impeachment inquiry, we issued a subpoena to associates of Rudy Giuliani who were involved in the president's scheme. One of those individuals is Lev Parnas, who responded to his subpoena by turning over a trove of documents that provide more information about the effort to coerce Ukraine into helping the president's re-election campaign. These documents, and those recently released pursuant to the Freedom of Information Act, demonstrate that there is more evidence relevant to the president's scheme, but they have been concealed by the president himself. Now, just like about anything else Trump-related, some of the elements contained within these documents are like a how-to manual for stupid criminals. Like this inexplicable note written by Lev Parnas himself, which is nothing more than documentation of the scheme. On hotel stationery, Parnas wrote a little to-do list for himself, which included, "Get Zelensky to announce that the Biden case will be investigated." And while this level of unmatched dipshittery is indeed funny, there were other elements which unmasked a menacing nature that seems to have been a possible physical threat to a sitting United States ambassador. It appears pretty plainly that Parnas and this necklace pumpkin-headed shitheel, Robert Hyde, were discussing the whereabouts of Ambassador Yovanovitch and the manner with which her personal security was handled at different times. Parnas sent Hyde several articles and tweets from right-wing nutjobs like Laura Ingraham, Sean Hannity, and Dan Bongino, to which Robert Hyde replies, "Can't believe Trump hasn't fired this bitch. I'll get right in that." Presumably he fat-fingered the keys and meant to say he'd get right on that. A little over 12 hours after getting right on it, Hyde writes back to Parnas and tells him about the specific nature of her personal security situation. Quote, "She's under heavy protection outside Kiev." Then 2 days later, he said he had guys there who could do something, and that he not only knew Yovanovitch's whereabouts, but that he also knew that her phone and computer were turned off. Robert Hyde explained about his guy. They are willing to help if we/you would like a price. And guess you can do anything in the Ukraine with money, what I was told. The very next day, Hyde told Parnas that Yovanovitch would not be moved and that his contacts were asking what their next step was, to which he threateningly replied, "If you want her out, they need to make contact with security forces." This is clear and damning evidence of a criminal conspiracy to, at the very least, intimidate a sitting U.S. ambassador, and at the worst, cause her physical harm and possibly death. Whatever the case, the FBI and the DSS had damn well better be investigating this matter right now. And in the face of this, Republicans and their complicit media partners are boldly defending Donald Trump through deflection and misdirection. Laura Ingraham had Devin Nunes on her White Supremacy Power Hour to discuss this and give their low-information viewers the latest administration talking points, and dismissed the shocking contents of these newly released documents as scribble-scrabble, ridiculous, and nothing.
Lev Parnas.
And now, Lev Parnas, this is another thing.
We got these notes of like scribble-scrabble on a Ritz-Carlton Vienna notepad, and we're supposed to all think, oh, the Democrats have a smoking gun. This is ridiculous. This says nothing. This is just, it's not even dated. We don't even know.
This is the guy.
Zelensky,
First of all, he didn't date a note that he wrote to himself. So that apparently strips away any credibility and connection to Donald Trump. Do you write a note and date it, everyone? Laura Ingraham? Are you kidding me? Well, only an hour before Laura Ingram's show, Donald Trump's shadow chief of staff, Sean Hannity, was also desperately, yet unsuccessfully, trying to downplay and discredit the evidence contained within the documents released by the House impeachment investigators.
We do start with big breaking news in the swamp. Finally, Nancy Pelosi, Speaker in name only, and the House Democrats have finally agreed to send over their BS articles of impeachment to the Senate tomorrow. Because Democrats know these articles are so laughably weak, they have now decided to include brand new, a trove of documents that were not presented during their sham impeachment proceeding. This 25th hour of desperation reeks of more pathetic Trump rage psychosis and derangement. And get this, all the new documents, they center around quid, pro, and quo, and Joe and his son, zero experience Hunter, and the international pay-for-play scheme. But if you read these new findings, you will quickly see how politically skewed their new information, their trove of documents is.
So let me get this straight. Rather than report on and address what was actually contained in the evidence, like I just did, Hannity instead resorts to the classic go-to of screaming about Trump rage psychosis and derangement. I guess Sean Faketree at Hannity is unconcerned about a possible plot to harm a United States ambassador. Unconcerned as long as she is perceived as an opponent of his messiah, the chosen one, Donald Trump. This pathetic attempt to distance Donald Trump from Lev Parnas and his partner Igor Fruman has got to stop. I say that because also contained in these newly released documents, and also not mentioned by these disinformation specialists, is an email which not only links Trump to Parnas and Fruman, it also reveals that he absolutely knew who they were. So Donald Trump and Devin Nunes and Kevin McCarthy and all the ghouls at Fox News can finally shut their mouths about Donald Trump not being connected to these goons. Because Donald Trump is lying about knowing them and knowing about them. Here's how I know. First, here is Donald Trump with his own greasy hamburger hole saying he doesn't know them, doesn't know about them, doesn't know what they do.
Sir, what conversations have you had with Lev Parnas and Igor Gore Fruman.
I don't know those gentlemen.
You're in pictures
Now, it's
with
possible I have a picture with them because I have a picture with everybody. I have a picture with everybody here. But somebody said there may be a picture or something where at a fundraiser or somewhere. But I have pictures with everybody.
Have you talked with them?
I don't know if there's anybody I don't have pictures with. I don't know them. I don't know about them. I don't know what they do. But I don't know. Maybe they were clients of Rudy. You'd have to ask Rudy. I just don't know.
That was on October 10th. I don't know those gentlemen. Don't know about them. I don't know what they do. Well, revealed in this new document evidence from the House impeachment investigators is an email which was sent 8 days earlier than that statement he just made on the White House lawn from current Trump lawyer Jay Sekulow to former Trump lawyer John Dowd, which reads, John, I have discussed the issue of representation with the president. The president consents to allow in your representation of Mr. Parnas and Mr. Fruman. Jay Sekulow, counsel to the president. I have discussed the issue with the president, and the president consents. It's dated October 2nd, 2019, a little more than a week before the unsealing of Parnas and Fruman's indictment. And it's also dated before Donald Trump stood on the lawn of the White House and lied to the American people about knowing who they are. So, enough is enough. Let's get on with this impeachment trial and see if Republicans in the Senate have the moral and ethical courage to do the right thing, finally. While I'm not overly optimistic, there seems to remain a chance. And while there remains a chance, there remains hope.